full YouTube live update, and I'll explain the reasoning why here in just a second, but it is something that could happen later on tonight as we get into the evening. So if you can give me about 30 seconds to a minute, I'll get everything here working here behind the scenes and we'll get started in full. But in the meantime, I will show you those current conditions across western Montana. For Missoula, we're looking at those mostly clear skies right now. Elsewhere, we are still dealing with a fair amount of cloud cover. That will likely continue overnight tonight, and I know I'm being a little bit non-specific about what I'm talking about. This could play an impact and a role in what we could be dealing with later on tonight with all these clouds in the area. So, like I said, if you can give me about 30 seconds, I'll get everything we're here working behind the scenes, and then we'll get started in this update in full. I'm going to try and make this a relatively quick one this afternoon, so shouldn't take too long. Think we are all good. Everything's working here behind the scenes like I was working on. So I know we'll get a few more people to work their way into this update as we go throughout it. But I'd say for now, let's get started with this. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments as we go throughout this, feel free to let me know in the chat section, and I'll try and answer those to the best of my abilities. As for right now, for the most part, we are pretty quiet across the region. We could see a few light showers into northwest Montana later on tonight, but for the most part, I would say probably 75 to 80% of the region should be staying dry tonight and into the day tomorrow. Now, again, as we look at those live current conditions, mostly clear in Missoula. We have high clouds in Bozeman, a mix of high and mid-level clouds for Butte, and then a general mix of a general majority of low to mid-level clouds there in Kalispell. And like I was saying, this will play a role in a big thing that could happen tonight, but also tomorrow night. But before we get to that, we're going to be looking at temperatures a little bit above average today into the 50s. We're going to see those around 50 in Kalispell, 55 Missoula, 54 in the mining city, and 58 in Bozeman. We're up getting to those levels now. I might have to adjust some of these temperatures, these forecast highs up a little bit, as we've seen more warming this afternoon. But right now we're at 57 in Missoula and Bozeman, 54 in Butte, and 50 in Kalispell. Winds may be another, I'll say, a decent medium-sized story for today. I don't know if it's going to necessarily be a big story, but it's going to be another breezy day, especially for areas along and east of the divide. Could see gusts anywhere from 20 to, say, 35 miles per hour this afternoon. Most areas will be looking at those gusts again, 10 to 20 miles per hour. But we're already into the 50s. Again, like the forecast high for Missoula, we're already above that, so we're probably going to be looking at upper 50s for those highs. Bozeman, we may try to get to the 60-degree mark since we're already into the 50s at this point. So overall, quiet conditions. Later on tonight, we will start to see some of those changes, but I was hinting at something that we might want to keep our eyes on for the next couple of nights, and that would be the northern lights. We've had a pair, actually I should say a trio of large solar flares that have been released by the sun, all coming out of the same sunspot over the last, say, 2 to 3 days. The first of those are forecasted to impact the Earth later on this afternoon into the evening hours. We have an X1.2 flare and an X1.7 flare, both with coronal mass ejections heading towards the Earth. And late last night, I'd say, I don't know the exact time, probably about 2 or 3 o'clock Montana time, an X5.1 flare was released by the sun, and that produced a large CME that is Earth-directed and is forecasted to arrive sometime, say, tomorrow morning, Western Montana time. So there's still a lot of question marks with it, but really what we're looking at is we've got the 1-2 punch for this afternoon and evening from those first two, that's going to charge the atmosphere enough to where we could see those northern lights start to come down. Forecasted right now at a G3 type of storm. This is looking at about, on the KP index, about a 7.3 is forecasted for tonight. Now, one thing with the KP values, you'll see these rings saying K7, which in this case, that would be this line roughly in here. This would be the overhead view. I say it's a little more complicated than that because that's a general consensus, but we have to see how the magnetic field of those solar flares are. If they're positively charged, in this case it would be the BZ is north, then that'll limit the amount of aurora activity that we'll see. It won't come as far south, so you can't really go completely based off of the KP index, but it gives you at least a rough sense. If that polarity of the magnetic field is south or negative, that is more influential on creating some of those solar substorms, giving you better chances to see the northern lights, and it helps to bring those further on to the south. So this is the 1-2 punch for tonight. That third flare, that larger one that is moving much faster, that is, again, forecasted to arrive sometime early morning on Wednesday. And there should be enough energy involved with that that we could continue to see active aurora weather, essentially, all the way into Wednesday night. That'll just be something we watch. But the Space Weather Prediction Center has gone with a G4 geomagnetic storm watch. They only do this on a handful of times, or have only done this on a handful of occasions. So a pretty decent likelihood we could see a decent northern lights display across the globe. Our big question will be, how much cloud cover do we see? Because there will be clouds. There's no two ways around it. We are going to be dealing with high level and even low level clouds across the region tonight for round 1, and then again tomorrow for round 2. It really just comes down to the timing. So let me go into Future Tracker and we'll kind of just time this out. So my best advice, certainly have, be ready once we get beyond sunset tonight, because tonight it will likely be an early type of event for us if it does happen, because clouds will start to filter in pretty quickly as we get beyond, say, 9-10 o'clock. And you'll see that here on Future Tracker. It's done a good job picking up on those spotty clouds, low-level clouds here and there. Watch as we go into the evening hours. Those clouds start to increase from the south and west as this little disturbance starts to roll in. This is looking at 8 o'clock. At this point, we will be dark because sunset is roughly in this zone. Between 4:50 and 5:15 or so is sunset. So we should be dark by about 5:30 to 5:45. You can see there are openings in the clouds. It's not going to be completely socked in with cloud cover at this point. So if those solar flares have hit the Earth at this point, there is the potential we could start seeing some of those northern lights displays as early as this evening. That'll continue, I think, throughout the night tonight, but at, say, 8 to 10 o'clock, this is when those clouds really start to increase. And while there still will be gaps, we will be dealing with more visibility issues from being able to see the northern lights. But I still say, go out, take a look, have your camera batteries charged if you want to try and get some long exposure photography on these overnight. Now, continuing on overnight, we'll see this disturbance start to roll in. That's what's helping to bring in the clouds. This is going to likely bring some showers into northwest Montana, potentially as early as about, say, 2 o'clock in the morning, continuing through the morning commute for places like Kalispell, Libby, maybe even up towards Eureka. We'll see those showers into the about midday time frame. That system starts to lift further off to the north, and we start to quiet down. And at this point, we're still going to be dealing with mostly cloudy skies, but watch as we get beyond, say, 8 o'clock. Especially down here in southwest Montana, we start to get that clearing. It takes a little bit longer, but northwest, west central Montana, as we get closer to, say, 10 to midnight, we see more of that clearing. There will still be clouds overnight, no two ways around it, but there will also be gaps. So Really, the key takeaway, if you want to see the northern lights for the next 2 nights, clouds will be increasing as we go later on into the evening tonight. So right after sunset may be the best window to see them for tonight. Tomorrow it'll likely be a little bit later as that system starts to pull out. We'll see some clearing once we get beyond, say, 8, 9 o'clock. And then that probably will get even better as we go into the overnight hours. There will still be clouds. It's not going to be completely cloud-free, but there will be those gaps. So just a reminder, if you want to see it, get your camera batteries charged for tonight. Long exposure photography will be your best friend, and having a tripod will make that even better. You can set it up on the tripod and let it take, a 5-second photo. You can do the same thing with your phones or a nicer camera as well. But have it on the tripod, do those longer exposures, and do your best to have a clear view to the north, depending on how strong this series of storms gets. If it is a G4 type of storm, you may not necessarily need a clear view north, as it may be directly overhead, especially for as far north as we are here in Montana. That's just going to be kind of a watch and see type of situation. The other thing, if you can get away from city lights, especially if you have city lights and you're looking north through, I'll use the south side of Missoula. If you can get away from those, that's probably your best option. But in general, we are at least in store for the potential of a good show tonight. Nothing's ever guaranteed with the Northern Lights. Sometimes everything looks really good in the forecast data, the forecast models, and then it just completely falls apart once we get to the night of the event. So I've got my fingers crossed, but like I said, I wanted to pop in early on this YouTube live update so I could bring everybody's attention to at least the potential of this. And like I said, if you're just tuning in, not just tonight, but it's also going to be tomorrow night as things stand right now, with G3 geomagnetic storming forecasted for tonight. G4 is, or at least there's a watch for a geomagnetic storm level 4 for tomorrow evening and overnight as well. So next 2 nights could be really good. Now, getting back into the weather side of things, again, showers are going to be moving into northwest Montana. Snow levels are quite high, so we're not expecting really any kind of issues with this, and most of this should be light to moderate rainfall. That could, make for some wet roads from Interstate 90 and north for the Wednesday morning commute. Additionally, as we go into those forecast temperatures tonight, south of I-90, we could be dealing with another set of issues. Those temperatures tonight, we're looking at 30s and low 40s for most of the region. We'll see the areas that deal with a little bit more in the way of cloud cover up here in northwest Montana, places like Thompson Falls. We may not even drop out of the 40s tonight, so pretty mild conditions tonight. A little bit cooler with a bit more clearing down here into southwest Montana, closer into the lower and mid 30s. The other issue, like I was saying, it'll be rain for areas along and north of Interstate 90, along and south of I-90, where we're not dealing with as much rain. We could be dealing with a fog issue. We dealt with some dense fog this morning for places like Missoula, the northern Bitterroot Valley. We could see another round of that for Wednesday morning. So certainly give yourself a little bit of extra time for your morning commute tomorrow. Drive safe, take it slow. And if you do run into any of these patches of dense fog, make sure to use your low beams and give yourself plenty of space between you and those vehicles in front of you. I think that'll be the biggest issue for tomorrow morning along and south of I-90 is, like I said, compared to along and north of I-90, we'll be dealing with a little bit of light to moderate rainfall. That said, afternoon temperatures are going to still be quite warm. Area-wide, we're talking anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees above average. Southwest Montana, Wednesday and Thursday, we're talking anywhere from 15, nearly 25 degrees above average. We could see those highs into the low 60s for Thursday afternoon there in Bozeman. And it wouldn't surprise me, just the way that trends have been, if we are approaching that for Wednesday afternoon as well, and maybe even this afternoon. So it's going to be a very warm couple of days, especially for mid-November here in the region. Even as we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, temperatures start to go down. Bozeman, we're still talking anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees above average. Elsewhere, that drops down to near average to maybe, say, 5 to 8 degrees above average. And you'll see that here with our Kalispell forecast. It drops a little bit Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. This isn't quite as cool as some of the models were showing it getting yesterday, but all of these drops in temperatures will coincide with our next weather maker that's going to be rolling in Thursday, Friday, and then into the weekend. There's going to be a cold front associated with that. So in general, we're going to be looking at rain and snow, some gusty winds, much like we've seen the last two days, and then lowering snow levels. And that could be the trouble spot, or the troubling issue, I guess, as we head into this weekend, as we could be dealing with at least the potential of accumulating mountain snowfall that could lead to some past travel impacts. Right now, I'd say Friday night into Saturday morning, and then maybe again Sunday night into Monday probably gives us our best chance for precipitation, and I'll show you that here on our regional future tracker. Here's that Wednesday, the Wednesday morning system, bringing those showers along and north of I-90. Thursday, for the most part, I think should be dry. It's late Thursday into Friday. This is looking into Thursday afternoon. We could start seeing some of those showers. This is actually a little bit faster, so this is Thursday about 6 o'clock, where we start seeing some moisture moving into areas along and west of the divide. Watch how this fills back in into Friday, but notice it's mostly greens. We're still looking at those snow levels pretty high at this point. They will start to fall, though, once that cold front passes through, and you can see how quickly that transitions from Friday morning, mostly greens, mostly rains, to more of the blues, pink starting to show up. This is looking into Wednesday afternoon, Friday afternoon and evening, where we see snow levels dropping from, say, 6,000 feet down to as low as about 4,000 feet. And we could be talking about accumulating mountain snow places like Marias, Rogers, Lookout, Lolo, Lost Trail passes, and dealing with some of that accumulating snowfall. This starts to move out into Saturday morning, but still, here comes the next wave Saturday into northwest and west central Montana. Likely not as strong for wave number 2 of moisture, but then we go into Sunday and Monday, and here we go again. This is looking about midday on Monday. Scattered to widespread showers are once again back in the forecast, with those snow levels still sitting right around that 4,000, 4,500 foot mark. So I guess the main takeaway is, other than a few showers, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Felt that coming, and I was like, let me get that out real quick. Getting back on track, though, main takeaways for the forecast for the next few days. A few showers with increasing clouds tonight, primarily northwest Montana for some of that rainfall. Fog for areas along and south of I-90. That will impact our view of the northern lights tonight if everything goes as forecast. It could also impact our view for tomorrow night as well, though we will see some clearing later on into the evening that we go, as that first system starts to pull out. We're kind of in the gap between the two storm systems. Then we'll see a much higher likelihood of rain and snow showers as we head into Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, likely into Monday next week, as well as we just see multiple storm systems start to roll through. This could be good for our mountains, bringing some more accumulating snowfall in the mountains. Valleys, I think, our lower valleys, especially looking at US 93, US 200 corridor, or US 93 Highway 200 corridors, as well as parts of US 2. We're going to see primarily rain for this as those snow levels fall down to around 4,000 feet. If there's a little bit more cool air, those may drop down all the way to, say, 3,500 feet, maybe even valley floors. We're just going to have to watch and see how much cold air is getting pulled in behind that cold front that arrives either late Thursday or Friday and starts to bring those snow levels down. I think with that, that was everything that I had for this update. But that's, again, the main key takeaways with this. We're still going to be looking at temperatures well above average for the next few days down into southwest Montana, and we're from 15 to nearly 25 degrees above average for today, tomorrow, Thursday as well. Even with that cold front moving in for Friday and Saturday and Sunday, temperatures still anywhere from, say, 5 to 10 degrees above average there in the 40s. So we'll just keep an eye and see how much impact we do see from mountain pass snowfall, because again, could lead to some slushy accumulation, some slick spots out there for sure. Again, if you have any last minute questions, feel free to ask those, and I'll try and answer them really fast. If not, I'll start to fully wrap this up. But like I brought up earlier, again, I'll repeat this once again. Northern Lights chances for tonight and for tomorrow night, as we've got 3 separate solar flares moving in, which will energize the atmosphere, the high atmosphere, and where we could see those as early as about sunset tonight, depending on the timing of when that arrives. But I'll spin this back around, show you this last look at it. Space Weather Prediction Center currently forecasting a geomagnetic storm level 3 for tonight. That gets us up to that KP 7.33 range, into the strong to severe range. And then with the third solar flare that's expected to arrive tomorrow morning, which is the strongest of the 3, that may bring those levels all the way up to G4, KP8, if not even higher. There is the potential we could see that go even higher into Wednesday night. So, and even some geomagnetic storming is possible into Thursday night as well. But really, the next 2 nights will probably be our best chance that we've seen it in quite a while. I know we had a couple of storms back in the June time frame, and then you have to go clear back to like October of last year to see a storm of similar forecasted intensity. At least that was going to be an impact to our area, timing-wise. Good news, if you do like the Northern Lights, that this should be more of an extended period of geomagnetic storming, potential auroras in the area. So I think we'll have at least the next 2 days to at least get that chance of it. Like I mentioned, though, clouds are going to be our biggest struggle with being able to see those tonight, just due to the amount of clouds that are expected to start filtering in with the first little system that's going to bring showers to northwest Montana this evening. That lingers into the evening tomorrow, but in general, I think we're going to see a decreasing amount of cloud cover into Wednesday night. You just might have to stay up a little bit later for that. But as always with these, long exposure photography is your best friend if you can take some videos. I know if I get the opportunity, I'm going to try and take a couple of time lapses of these tonight and into tomorrow morning. Fingers crossed that everything goes as planned. But yeah, I'm following the advice I'm sharing. Get your camera batteries charged. I'm doing that right now to try and at least be most prepared as I can be for that potential tonight. So hopefully the sky puts on a really good show for us, and we can get to enjoy some really cool sights. So I think with that, I will wrap it up. Thank you for spending this little bit of your Tuesday afternoon with me, and tune into our live broadcasts tonight at 5, 6, and our special edition at 7 o'clock. We've got NBA basketball tonight on NBC. So that'll be covering over our 10 o'clock broadcast tonight. But again, 5, 6, and 7, we'll have the latest news and weather updates for you as we go throughout the rest of the day. So if you get any photos or videos of the Northern Lights in the next few days, please feel free to share those with us at nbcmontana.com/chime in. If we get enough photos, we might be able to get a little gallery put together of some of those. But with that, I will wrap this up. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Have a safe one, and I'll see you all on the next one. With NBC Montana, I'm meteorologist Mitchell Coops.